Hey, welcome in, everybody. Good to see some people already here. Hello, Peter. What's happening? Cool, cool. Peter, glad to see you're checking us out on Guitar Tricks and Facebook. Yeah, I'm no longer on Facebook doing the Guitar Tricks classes. I'm doing them on YouTube now on Wednesdays. I used to do them on Thursdays on Facebook. But cool, glad you could join in, Pete. Felicia, good, good. Hello, hello. Steve, all right, cool, cool. So we're going to be working on week 3 of rock and metal rhythm styles, working on some rhythm guitar work. But since we're right before Halloween, got Halloween next Monday. I'm just going to play you a couple spooky little tunes here for a second. Have nothing to do, well, might have a little bit to do with what we're doing today, but yeah, let me just kind of rattle that down. Hey, look, check out everybody else piping in here. Felicia, Steve, yep, good, good. Uh, Rui, yep, saw your name last week. There's Terry, hello, hello, and pardon me, another Terry. Dave's here, cool, from Cleveland, all over the place. Right on, Jeff and Dennis, cool, cool. All right. So yeah, if anyone's familiar with the Halloween movie theme, this is always a fun one to do. I usually do a two-hand tapping because it's got this little part that's like this, kind of neat to go. Kind of that idea. Check this out. I'll tap that like this. Let's try that again. So what I'm going to add in is a bass note. Really simple. Along with the lick. So we got one more time, folks. Silly little way of doing it. It's kind of like a piano keyboard part. Got the left hand doing the bass part, right hand doing the treble. Okay, but this is the real kicker right here, folks. There's some classical songs that are very Halloween-like. Toccata and Fugue from Bach. In fact, this is one of my favorites from Bach. It's got a lot of different parts to the song. Some of it works out really good, the sweep pick. Some parts work out good, the two-hand tap. And some parts are just really good playing with the pick. It's kind of like a heavy metal classical song, if you're familiar with it. Let me go ahead and knock it out. Try to get this in one take for everyone. Pardon me if I got a few little mistakes, but here we go. Okay. Try that ending part one more time. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. So that's Toccata and Fugue from Bach. It's not the whole song, which is quite lengthy, but it's several parts of it. In fact, I've got that recorded on I think it's my Desert Storm album. If you look me up on Spotify or YouTube, you can find Toccata and Fugue, Dave Celentano. Got the studio recording with drums and bass in there, kind of fatten it up, making it sound like more of a heavy metal tune. And I've also got some performances on YouTube where I just play it all two-hand tapping, and then other ways of doing it. I've always been working on that song for many years. Obviously, I'm more practiced on that than I am on the Halloween theme that I played earlier. But the Halloween theme is just a kind of an easy little fun thing. If you're into two-hand tapping and trying to get two different ideas, like on a piano going, it's rather a simple piece to do. I didn't pull it off too good tonight, but you get the idea. All right, so let's get rocking and rolling with our lesson tonight. We're going to be working on dyads for rhythm guitar. Dyads, spelled D-I-A-D, that's a two-note chord. And we're going to talk about intervals because two notes always has an interval name that associated with it, like how far apart the two notes are from each other. So we're going to also work on a little tidbit of theory as we're doing this. Okay, let me just rattle down the list. Everyone's showing up here. Good to see everybody. Matthew's here. Rad Flying V. There he is again. Saw you last week. Thine from Vietnam. Cool. Steve's here. Hello. Second Chance. Hey, Marianne. Yep. Good to see you, huh? Lee and Zane. Wow, cool. Theodore. Cool. Felicia's saying, is it really possible to practice without mistakes? Well, Felicia, we're all human, all right? We can practice our fingers off, our fannies off, and so we're going to still make mistakes. You know, when I go see live bands, I hear little mistakes here and there, but the trick is, well, a couple of things. You got to practice. And like the two pieces I played you tonight, obviously the Halloween theme, I'm not as practiced on it, but I just want to lay it out because it's kind of a neat little simple two-hand tapping thing. But the Toccata and Fugue, I've been playing that and working on the parts to that for quite a few years. And I've recorded it several times. And I even, back in the day, I've wrote a bunch of guitar method books, which some of them are still available. But I transcribed Toccata and Fugue and put it in one of those, the speed metal book. But just from playing it over the years, you just get it down so it sounds like it's well rehearsed. But I still make mistakes. I mean, heck, I did tonight. There was a few spots in there, and at the end, I kind of really messed up bad, so I just redid the end of it. So it's just stick with it, Marianne, and have fun, okay? Or not Marianne, but Felicia. Yeah, just stick with it, Felicia, and don't sweat it. Try to play through the mistakes. Like on the Takana and Fugue I just played, you might not have heard any mistakes, but if I heard several of them, and I just kind of play through it. You can. There's parts you can always do better, right? And once we play in front of people, uh, we kind of get a little nervous. I still get a little butterflies too when I know I'm being recorded or playing in front of people. You just try to tune that out and focus on what you're playing. And if you've really practiced at it, even though a few mistakes come in, it just shows we're human. Okay. Rui, let me see. That one live in a cathedral or other big room with a true pipe organ must be quite an experience. Hope to attend it one day. Yeah, definitely, Rui. Yep. There's some nice classical recordings on organ where the performer does it. Sounds really cool. Cool. Northern Nevada checking in. All right, cool. Real. Yep. Zane, right on. Thank you, Zane. Theodore, great. Appreciate it, man. Rui, the theme was created by John Carpenter, the director. Yeah, exactly. On the movie Halloween, I didn't realize it a while ago, but John, the guy that wrote the movie and I believe produced it or directed it, he also scored the music. How many movie producers or directors do the music too? Usually they don't, and they hire, like John Williams does a lot of the music soundtracks to a lot of big movies like Jaws and the Star Wars and a bunch of movies like that. But kudos for John Carpenter being a great movie writer and musician for writing a cool, creepy piece. Very, very creepy. It gets my hair standing on end. All right. And then the Falcon. Hello. You're right, Rui. Yeah, see when they play a perfect show. I mean, it's nice to hear a well fine-tuned band and performer, but there's going to be mistakes all the time. I got a good buddy of mine who plays kick butt Spanish classical guitar, and when I go see him play, I hear a few mistakes, and he knows he makes a few, but it just sounds so good that the music supersedes, it overrides the couple little mistakes. It shows we're human. Okay, so let's get on with it. And if you've been watching a few of my classes, you'll see I try to play something sometimes, and if I really mess it up bad, I'll just call it out and do it again. All right, don't worry about it. Okay, so I've got a little echo delay on my guitar signal. I'm going to turn that off because we don't want that on. There we go. Okay, so let's get in with the meat of the lesson here, folks. The dyads are 2-note chords, so we're going to talk about some ideas. I got some rhythms here, some songs, just to give everyone an illustration what I'm talking about. Everybody's heard Def Leppard. Wearing a shirt. Photograph, Okay, those are dyads. Okay, just 2 notes at the same time. Everything I just did there was on the G and the B string. Okay, another great example. We're familiar with Led Zeppelin, Misty Mountain Hop. During the verse. Dyads right here. So during the verse on Misty Mountain Hop, those are dyads. It's kind of a trippy little part, right? It sounds kind of weird, but in the context of the song, it's perfect. Another great example is more like a lead guitar part, not a rhythm riff, but Johnny Be Good. That whole first part, double stops, 2 notes at the same time on the top 2 strings. Dyads two notes at the same time could be also thought of as double stops. Okay. And then another set of double stops, or a dyad, two note chord, or two notes together. There we go. Okay, I'm going to rattle down a few others for us. Something some of us older folks might recognize. The beginning of Van Morrison, Brown Eyed Girl. That's actually on Guitar Tricks. Some of these songs I'm playing for you here are on Guitar Tricks. I don't think Photograph is, and unfortunately, we don't have Misty Mountain Hop either. But Johnny B. Good's very familiar. A lot of songs rip off that intro, like some of the Beach Boys songs sound very similar to Johnny B. Good. Brown Eyed Girl is on Guitar Tricks. Okay, got some neat stuff there. If you're another more of a country fan, El Paso from Marty Robbins. That, turn that down a little bit. Okay, that beginning part, those are arpeggios, and then here we go with the dyads. The intervals for that song are thirds, just like Brown Eyed Girl. They're major and minor thirds. Okay, I'll go deeper on that in a minute when we do my examples off my sheet. Another one, if you're a little more of an 80s metal, hair metal fan, It's Not Love from Dokken. That's all two notes at the same time on the D and G string. Little chords. And that one's on Guitar Tricks. In fact, both of those two, Brown Eyed Girl and It's Not Love, are lessons that I've taught on Guitar Tricks. How about the Hot for Teacher Van Halen? After the killer intro tapping part, it goes. That's all dyads right there. Two notes at the same time. Two notes right there. A little hammer-on lick. More dyads. Okay, so those are all, 5 or 6 little illustrations of songs that have dyads in them, two-note little clusters. Okay, so let's go through what I got up here. I try to give a variety of stuff in these rhythm examples, folks. Let me just bounce into what people are saying here, just real quick. Yeah, Richard, exactly. Sometimes new ideas come from making mistakes. Bingo, brother. Yeah. Cool. Van the Man. Yep, exactly. Guitar, Van Halen's awesome. Terry, let me see what Terry's saying there. I've been trying to learn Brown Eyed Girl and Guitar Tricks. It's a good video. Oh, thanks, Terry. Cool. And then Audible Headache. Hey, y'all. What's happening? All right, so the first example I got, you can do these with a clean setting. I like to have a little bit of distortion on it for this, though. Example 1 sounds like this. Actually, let me get a little more of a rock sound. Okay, doing a little, I'm riding the 5th string open to give it a nice steady pulse. And then the dyad chords are on strings 4 and 3. The first one is just the 2nd fret on 4 and 3. Okay, that's your A chord. Then the next chord I'm going to do, and that interval, folks, by the way, that's perfect fourth. The distance between that E note and the A note on the third string is a perfect fourth interval. Sounds like Here Comes the Bride. Okay? Then the next interval I do is I change the fourth string up to the third fret. Keep the third string the same. Stay on the second fret. Okay? Okay, then it becomes a major third interval. Then I change from the third fret up to the fourth fret on the fourth string. Keep the third string second fret. See, what we're doing is creating a little tension. The fourth string's ascending chromatically, and the third string stays put. Okay, then on the next chord, the fourth chord, I'm going to move up and play the fifth fret on string 4, continue the chromatic motion going up the fretboard, but I'm going to change the high note from the second fret in the third string up to the fourth fret. And I play that with my second and third finger. Okay, that's kind of part of a G chord. It's a G with no third. And then the last one is barring that third finger up on the seventh fret, strings 4 and 3. So just the little chords, it's an A5 chord. Then this would be an F chord with no fifth, just has a root and a third. Okay. And then the next one is an F sharp minor with no fifth. Okay. Or it could be considered part of a D major chord with no root. It's got the F sharp and the A as the third and the fifth of that. A lot of times the dyads, since it's only 2 notes of a chord, it could be either the root and the third or the third and the fifth of a chord. So it could go a couple different ways in what you decide to call it. But important thing here, folks, is don't get all hung up in all the theory and terminology right now. Just have fun and try to grab a little something new, learn something from what we're doing here. And if you have questions, you can always email me on Guitar Tricks or book a lesson with me through Guitar Tricks or my website, and I can help you, give you a lot more answers and get down to a lot more nitty gritty. Okay. But in the meantime, just have fun and just try to pick up, learn what I'm doing here. Okay. So moving chromatically up or down on a string is a very hip thing to do. A lot of Zeppelin songs do that. And Hotel California from the Eagles has a descending chromatic line. Stairway to Heaven has a descending chromatic line. Kashmir from Zeppelin has an ascending chromatic line. Okay, it's a very cool little thing to do. And then between all those chords, we got the A, F with no fifth, F sharp minor with no fifth. Then we got a G chord up on the fourth and fifth frets with no fifth degree. And then the seventh fret barring with your ring finger, that's a D chord or a D5. It's like, remember we talked about power chords last week. Whenever you see a 5 after a chord name, it means it's a power chord. But typically the power chords have the root in the bass. If we flip it around and put the root up top on a high, it's an inverted power chord. So that's what the A5 and the D5 in this little rhythm example are, is inversions, power chord inversions. Okay, and in between all those chords, instead of just letting them ring, that doesn't sound bad, actually. Okay, now let's try adding in the fifth string as I have in the diagram. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so it sounds nice. You can dissect these little examples, folks. Leave out the pounding, riding open string I've got here, and just play the chords. Or if you want to fill in the sustaining parts, you can palm mute that open string. And by the way, while I'm on the power chords and the muting part, let me point this out. You got to palm mute the fifth string, or try to, okay? And you don't want the chord to ring out while you play the fifth string. We don't want this to go. Sounds kind of messy. Not good. Okay, so what you want to do is play the chord, and then when you go to the fifth string, release the pressure of the chord, but don't come off the strings because then they make that rattle noise. Okay, so go. And then when I go to the fifth string, I release the index finger to stop the A, and then I palm mute the fifth string to give it a little more meat. Plus, it sounds nice. The chords are not palm muted, the fifth string is. So it's a nice little juxtaposition there to go from sustaining, not sustain. Sustain, not sustain. Sustain. Okay, so try to keep your rhythm guitar parts clean. All right, and part of what folks run into a lot when I'm doing my lessons with them is they're working really good on playing stuff with the strumming, the picking, and the fingers on the chords and the notes, but they're not really muting the open strings that they're not playing. Part of playing a lot of rock guitar and metal is having this overdrive tone that I got. It sounds good, but it also creates a lot of other noise. So you really need to do a good job of muting out those other strings. Okay, let me just check out what folks are saying. Cool, audible headache. Cool. Oh, cool, rad. Yep. EVH is God. Van Morrison's cool too. Cool. Felicia's saying, I recognize Brown Eyed Girl, even though I'm 37 years old and plus heard it on the radio growing up. Yeah, Felicia. Yep. There's a lot of old good tunes out there. There's a lot of new stuff that's great too. Let's see. It's one of those songs, some bands will have a song that just transcends and just sticks around forever. You never know what song's going to do that. Most bands don't have that moment, but occasionally there's some bands that have a song or two that just seem to stick around forever. I think Brown Eyed Girl is one of those little catchy tunes that seems to be stuck in everybody's ears. Yep. What happened to Mike? Audible headache. Oh, Mike's here. Mike's on Friday nights at the same time. I'm Dave doing Wednesday nights. Mike's doing his Friday night, same time for Guitar Tricks. Yep. Cool. And then chug into Dyad feels good to play. Yeah, Rui. Yep, exactly. Cool. Let me just take a little swig of my beverage. Sometimes talk and get dry throat. Okay, so we talked about those chords on example 1. Now let's go down to example 2. Before we play it all together, this one's a little longer. The first example was 4 bars. This one's 8 bars. Okay, so let's talk about the chords. We got the A power chord on the 7th fret, string 4, and 3rd string at the 9th fret. Okay, and then what we're going to do here is, this is a neat sound. It's kind of like the George Lynch Dawkins sound. You play the power chord, and then you flat the 5th. That's very cool, because the flat 5 is the evil interval. And heck, if you're playing heavy metal, you got to have a little evil in there, right? Like Black Sabbath or Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads. Okay, so the first chord we got is your A power chord. Then we flat the 5th. It'll be called A. Yeah, it's actually A with a flat 5. It's like a A power chord with a flat 5th. Okay, and then the next one we do is a G power chord on the same strings, 4 and 3, at the 5th and 7th fret. And then we go from that to the dark G5, or with the flat 5. Okay, so far you got this. Now, check this out, everybody. You see what's happening on that third string? You don't have to do this, but it's a cool technique just to learn and put it in your hip pocket. And when you're working on writing a song or riffs, maybe try to throw in a little chromaticism. Look at the third string on this is descending. We go from 9 to 8 to 7 to 6. Okay, and if you even carry on to the next bar, the C5 down on the next bar is at the 5th fret. It's an inverted power chord. They're both in the 5th fret. Okay, and then I go from that one back to the, it's like an F sharp 5 with a flat 5th. Okay, so that time we're lowering the 4th string note 1 fret. So from the beginning, you got a 9, 8, 7 on the 3rd string, 6 to 5. Now listen. Okay, kind of a neat effect to move chromatically up or down. But you gotta make it sound good. And I didn't just pull these out off the top of my head. I sat and, made a cup of coffee, get my guitar on, get a great sound going, and just start experimenting with the chords and just trying to write some riffs. This is how you write songs. I've got a lot of albums too, folks. If you search me on Spotify or YouTube, I've got an album called Guitar Stew, Desert Storm, Earth Victory in Heaven, and Wicked Music Box. And most of the songs are ones I've written. A couple of them are cover tunes. Some of them I've collaborated with other musicians on, but it's fun to write songs. I do get students that write in, say they ultimately want to be a good songwriter. So to start out, everybody, just get good on guitar first. Learn some songs, learn your scales, learn a little bit of theory, learn how the chords go together in the different keys, because knowing what chords work in each key is a real big help too. Because a lot of songs, popular songs, use chords that are all from whatever key the song's in. Okay, it's a good thing to know. And we got tons of lessons on guitar tricks that can help you with that type of stuff, knowing the theory, breaking down, knowing what notes are in the chords of each key. Okay. So we got this. Okay, that takes us up to the F sharp 5 with the flat 5th. Then we go down to an F5. So now see what I'm doing is descending chromatically on string 4. And then the finally last one is the A. So the 3rd string goes 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And then the 4th string goes 5, 4, 3, 2. Chromatic right there. Now listen to them all together. See how it's like the progression takes you on a journey. You hear how that kind of went down the line and it kind of took you from here, and it sounded like it made a logical conclusion at the end of that. Listen again. I start with the A and I end on the A. Let me try that again. Very Dokken-like, but it could sound like a lot of other songs too. So that's kind of a long one right there. what's kind of neat is you don't necessarily have to play all of that. You could even just camp out on the first 4 bars, see what, and repeat that. Repeat. And then maybe on the last one, go down. Okay, kind of a neat idea there is using power chords, folks, and then lower the 5th. That always sounds metal. And you could even do inverted power chords, and instead of lowering the high note, lower the bass note, and then fill in the blanks, those pauses, with the riding A string. Cool, cool, cool. No Name says good stuff. I love it. All right, cool, cool. Cool, cool. All right. Yep. All right, so folks, keep watching if you like, but feel free to ask some questions. I'm here to not just run off and play guitar the whole time, but to talk to everyone and explain some stuff, kind of go through the things. Okay, so feel free to reach out to me if you got any questions. I mean, you can post your comments and questions in the chat window that's on the, at least on my screen, it's on the right side of the video, and I'll be happy to answer any of your guitar music questions. Okay. So, another one that's a great double stop song is Smoke on the Water. I forgot to put it on the list. All double stops, all inverted. Can't talk and play Smoke on the Water at the same time. They're all inverted power chords. So I know a lot of folks learn it the wrong way when they first start playing guitar. But it should be in the key of G, and it's not the regular power chords. What Richie Blackmore's done is takes the low note of that G power chord, places an octave higher on string 4, and then keeps the 5th where it was, on the 5th fret, 5th string. And then all the power chords are done that way. G to B flat to C. Maybe the keyboard, John Lord, it sounds like he might have been doing the power chords with the root and the bass on the keyboard, the organ. See, that would sound good if you got several instruments, or even if you got 2 guitar players. Try not to play the same thing. Break it up. Like if, just hypothetically, if that was your song, if one of the guitar players is playing it with power chords, it might be cool to have the second guitar play it another way, like the inverted power chords. Or maybe the power chord's up an octave. That sounds a little thin by itself, but man, with the other guitars playing the low part, that might sound good. Don't know. You have to try it. So if you got a couple guitar players in a band, try to avoid playing the same thing. Always try to have the guitar players playing different things that sound good together. All right, that's the secret. That's the trick. Okay. Beer Hounds, beer reviews. All right. Huge Alex Skolnick fan here. Right on. Testament. Yep. Right on. Alex is great. He impressed me when he took that big detour a bunch of years ago where he quit Testament. And then I believe he went back to music school and then studied jazz. And then he came out with jazz interpretations of some metal rock songs. And I thought that was pretty impressive that a guy that's known as heavy metal shredder type of player totally goes in a different direction with his music and then goes into jazz. So I always think it's healthy, folks, to, if you really like playing guitar, to take some lessons from an instructor. Just trying to do the YouTube thing by yourself, That's so what if it's got unlimited amount of videos and stuff to learn from. If you don't know what videos to watch to get to the next step, and you don't have someone to critique your plan that can hear what you're doing and see how you're holding the pick and the fingers, all that stuff comes into play. Where it's real important to have the proper hand position when we play. It's not one position for everything, but there's several different grips. When you're doing chords, when you're playing leads, when you're bending the string, there's different grips we need to do with the hand. See how sometimes my thumb will be over the top like that? Sometimes it'll be down like this and spread out where the thumb's in back of the neck. So we don't, unless you have someone that can point that out to you, you could be spinning your wheels and going nowhere. So it just because there's a lot of free stuff on the internet doesn't mean that it's all good. You should really saddle up with an instructor in your area, or reach out to one of us on Guitar Tricks. We got a few instructors there. I'm one of them, and we can help you. You know, even one lesson a month or every couple months would do you good, rather than trying to do it on your own. Think about this: if someone was going to study the martial arts, are you going to watch YouTube videos for that or read a book on it? You probably want to study with a sensei, a karate expert, a master who knows what's going on and has you go in the right path. That's what we do at Guitar Tricks, and that's what I do in my lessons, is have my students on a plan to progress, not cherry picking one lick here and a song, not even half a song, maybe the intro on this song and that. If that's what you want to do, then that's fine. But if you really want to get good on guitar, it should have somebody, a sensei, somebody that can coach and help you along the way and show you how to hold the pick. Same with the pick. It's not one way to hold it for everything. Sometimes when we're strumming, we got to hold it a different way. Sometimes when we're picking fast, we hold it a different way. Sometimes when we're string skipping or sweep picking, we hold it another way. There's several things, and you don't really know what those are. And even if you got someone on YouTube that's showing you how to do it, what I do in the videos when I'm teaching, or not the videos, but in Zoom, is I'll stand up and I'll show you specifically how to have your pick and how to hold the fingers. I'll let you see everything about the guitar, and I'll have you do the same thing to me. I'll see how you're holding the pick, because really a lot of these little minor details that a lot of beginners and inexperienced, or folks that are less experienced, they don't even know about all these little details. Okay, it's really important to get these nooks and crannies ironed out. Yeah, so enough of my spiel there. I got off on that tangent with Alex Skolnick. Rui, see what you did? Yeah, the Berkeley of jazz. Yep, yep. Good. Cool, cool, cool. Cool beer hounds. All right, appreciate it. Yep. Well, I've been teaching folks too for a long time, over 30, 35 years. And I've seen a lot of students over the years. I've seen a lot, over thousands easily. Um, and it just, from doing that and just myself playing in bands and recording and doing the educational stuff, I've kind of figured out really a good system that works. And again, not one system is going to work for every student. So there's several different approaches. If the student just wants to be a campfire guitar player, that's fine. We're not going to work on the Eddie Van Halen stuff. But some of my students want to do that. Some of them want to work on blues. Some of them want to work on, the neoclassical stuff and not the blues. So I figure out what the student likes, and then we go back from that. And then I kind of work off of that. So let me just kind of read a few more comments here. Steve Langford saying, I never stop, but 2 hours would be short. 3 to 5 would be the norm. But actually heard a YouTube instructor lately say short 15-minute intervals are more important. Is there a formula for real? Yep. Yeah, I would say, obviously we want to practice a lot, everybody. But I usually do the 15-minute chunks is what I say to my students. Because at least on the very minimum, folks, you should at least do 15 minutes. But truth is, I do half-hour chunks myself. And when my timer on my phone goes off after 30 minutes, I put the guitar down, refill, get a cup of coffee if I don't have one, stretch for a minute, walk around, maybe get something to eat, and then come right back at it and do another 30 minutes. And then I do that several times. And it doesn't have to be all in one shot, Steve. You definitely doing 15-minute chunks is good. If you can handle doing a half hour, that would be good. But usually, you notice too, if when we've been playing a while, sometimes we start to make mistakes that we didn't earlier. That just means we're fatigued. We got to take a break. So from that point, just put the guitar down, take a break, and then come back at it. Maybe when you come back at it, don't start doing the same stuff you were just doing, but work on something completely different. Should always have a few things on your plate to practice. So a good thing to do is have, if we're all studying, like we're in Guitar Tricks members, we should be spending some time in like blues level 1 or 2 or rock level 1 or 2. Or if you're a beginner or less experienced, spends 15 or 20 minutes in fundamentals 1 or 2 and just working through the videos. All right. And then after that time's up, then work on something where you're just doing single strings, like work through your scales, work through exercises, just single string. Make sure you're running through and you got your scales memorized, because we need to do that too. Okay. Then after that 15 minutes, work on some rhythm guitar. And that's where the song comes in. So it's always fun to have a song to work on too, because it gets boring just doing curriculum that's nothing we've heard before when we're not familiar with it. So we need to do that. Like if you're taking a music or a guitar class in college, you're probably going to be playing some music that you've never heard before, but it's part of learning. It's healthy for us to play things we're not familiar with. But then we also want to have something we're familiar with. And that's where finding a fun Beatles song or, Shania Twain song or whoever you like. Brad Paisley, if you're into the country. Okay. And then just work on that song for 15 or 20 minutes and then move on from that. So after what I just rattled off to you, Steve, was about a 45-minute practice. Okay. And then also too, if we're, we should work on a little theory if that's the area, if you want to work on that and understand that. But just go ahead and just do at least 15 minutes a day, people, because that will show some results, but you're going to have to work on it. And then, Steve, I could go on with my teaching philosophy, but let me just move on with the lessons here. Keep going down the line. Beerhound saying, dang, that guitar looks it plays sweet. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm going to switch it up in a few weeks. I kind of get stuck for about a month or so on one guitar, and then I'll pull out a Les Paul or a Strat or one of my other faves back there. Beerhound saying, who's your Yoda? So your Yoda is Alex Skolnick, huh? Mine would definitely be Edward Van Halen, but there's a lot of great players out there that I admire. But, some people, it's Hendrix is theirs. For me, it was Edward. I saw Van Halen more times in concert than I've seen anyone else, and transcribed a ton of his stuff. Let me just roll down the line here. It's not, Richard saying it's not so much the time, it's more keeping focus. Richard, good point too. Yeah, just because we're practicing for a half hour doesn't mean we're getting better. We got to stay focused on what we're working on. And I noticed this too, people, is that when I working on something with a student, they tend to just keep trying to play through everything. Like I'm doing Hotel California solo with a couple students. And typically I'll say, I say this up front. I say, let's just focus on the first bar, the first phrase or the first 2 phrases. So we start working on that. And they play it. And then they play it. And then they play it. And they keep going. It's like, wait, you don't want to keep going, folks. You want to work on a little bit at a time and make sure you've got it memorized. Make sure you're playing it correctly, because a lot of times too, people are in a hurry to get something down and to play it, and in their hurriedness they don't pay attention to the tablature or the video of the instructor showing note for note how to do it, and accidentally leave out a note or two or play too many notes and don't realize it, and then we're stuck with, we spend a half hour, Richard, like you're saying, we spent a half hour practicing it the wrong way, and then it takes long, we're wasting time then, because now we have to relearn it. So take things a little bit at a time, and there's no rush here, people. The guitar will still be here tomorrow. You'll still be here. The world will still be spinning. Just enjoy the ride and practice, and even just a little bit, if you can do a little bit real good, that's going to be more impressive than if you can do the whole song or the solo, but it's full of mistakes and sloppy and starting and stopping. And be patient, because it's going to take a while. All right. That toccata and fugue I played at the top of the lesson. In fact, I could probably close out with it in a minute here, for you folks that might not have seen it at the top of the lesson. But I was working on that for years, many years. It's a long piece. I didn't transcribe the whole thing in one shot. I just did a little at a time. And once I had that little bit down, locked down, bolted down, then I added the next part. And then I sat with it like that. And it took me many years to get as much as I just have now that I played you. Okay. So just be focused and patient. Yep. Beer House saying, Dave, do you think being self-taught and learning theory is the best, or just learn theory from the get-go? Either way, Beer House, one of the best things I ever did for myself, my music, is go to music school. I went to GIT, which is Musicians Institute out in Hollywood, California. I went there when I was 21. Before that, I thought I was a decent player. I played in several bands, but I didn't know any theory really. I knew my scales, but I didn't really know theory, and I didn't know about too many techniques other than the tapping and a little bit of sweep picking and a few other things. But going to music school really helped expand my knowledge, and expanded look, all the stuff the guitar can do. It really turned me on to liking jazz music and other styles of music a lot, because back then I was just rock and heavy metal. Oh, and then at music school too, the blues, of course. Yeah. So and in Beer Hounds, you should definitely work on theory if you want to get better at some point. It would help to learn some. And I don't know everything about the theory end of it, and I don't think you'll find any musician who knows all of it. They'd be lying to you. But that's the nice thing about music. There's always more to learn. So if you fall in love with that fact, it's a fun ride. All right. And there's always people out there that can help you. I can help you. Some of the other instructors on Guitar Tricks can help you with the theory end of it too. Feel free to reach out, and we can get you going on some of that stuff. And there's a bunch of lessons on Guitar Tricks too, Beer Hounds, on theory. So you don't even necessarily need to take any lessons one-on-one in person, but you can study those. And then after you've studied the video lessons, the pre-recorded, you can book a lesson with somebody or myself, and we can go over it and explain it and clarify it. Hey, Lee's here. Right on. Yep, you got to keep focused. All right, cool, Lee. Good to see you here. Thanks so much for that detailed explanation. All right. Yep. Yeah, I got a lot of guitars, Lee. Just like you do, Lee. I know you've got a small collection going there. Ken is saying, yes, I agree to Richard. Beer Hound, it's good to have a teacher to help you with your playing. Of course, people. Like I said, if you're going to study the martial arts, karate or jujitsu, you're not going to watch YouTube videos for that stuff. If really the true martial artists always studies with a sensei. All right. Humans are here to help each other. We're here. All right. And one-on-one in person or with the internet live like this, because really I can see and hear everything with the camera, and I can always present and put the camera or put my guitar in a different shot so you can see details of what I'm talking about if you need it. Okay. Oh, Beer House. Yeah. Wow. Bummer, Beer House. But Hey, we got his music and we got a ton of videos of him, so you can always get that side of it. What do you think about Wolfgang VH? Oh, Wolfgang's great too, man. He impressed the heck out of me. I figured he was going to do a different thing than his dad, and he does. But man, that David Grohl tribute to their drummer, Travis, that Wolfgang played at. Wolfgang played what? On Fire from Van Halen, Hot for Teacher, and I think Panama. And he was like nearly note for note. I mean, it was amazing how accurate he was playing. I think Wolfgang's a talented young guy, a musician, plus he plays bass and he can sing and he can play drums and probably keyboards and he writes great music. So he's a lot more of a musician than I am. I'm just a guitar player. I don't sing real good and I don't really play any other instruments. But there you go. So Yep. The dude has real skills. Right on. Cool, cool. Yeah, Steve. If someone's just kind of getting into guitar and just, wants to learn a couple parts of songs, then that's probably fine. But the folks that want to get good, you got to find a teacher, someone that can help you. And I know some teachers are more beginner oriented. So if you really want to get better, find a teacher that really good that that can help you. Not necessarily the neighbor next door that plays guitar and he's going to teach you a few chords, but somebody that, a musician that's done stuff, that's recorded stuff, that has been teaching a long time, that maybe has their music degree or not. It doesn't really matter whether you have your degree or not. It's, can you play and do you know the stuff? All right. I haven't seen Alex Skolnick's Breakdown of Eruption, Beer Hounds, but I'm going to look that up. I didn't even know about that. My goodness. That strap's wicked. I've never seen one like that before. Uh-huh. Yeah, the strap is actually, when I bought this is the Wolfgang Stealth model. When I bought it, it came with the little eye hooks in the bout in the top of the guitar here, and it's got like the dog attached, kind of like the dog leash clip on for that. That's because that's how Edward did it back in the day. And then the strap's pretty, it's really nice. It's got the EVH logo on there and then the back end. Yeah, I like the guitar a lot. It's pretty darn cool. So let me just rip through the last two and then I'll play something real quick and then we're packing up, folks. The next two, example 3, is on the 2nd and 3rd string. And you could do all downstrokes on here. Okay. And you can see I wrote the name of the chords above that. So maybe you could have a rhythm guitar player play a D, G, C, 2, 3, 4, D, G, C. If you hear that rhythm guitar, see. So you could pick it all downstrokes, maybe a little palm muting. Or you could pick it with your fingers. See how I'm doing right there, folks? Fingers. It sounds kind of neat. Okay, and then the last one is doing power chords, but instead of flatting the 5th, we're going to sharp it. It's an E5 with a sharp 5. Then I go back to E, then D, let that ring. Then I move back to the C, and then I do the pinky add on to the 7th fret 4th string. That's like a very common blues guitar move. and then down to the B at the 2nd fret, up to D at the 5th fret. So all together it goes 2, 3, 4. Ay, 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 one more time. 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm just letting them ring, but you could also chug it. Might sound cool to have the bass chug the chords. The bass guitar could go. Just the root notes. And you could go. Da, 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 da. So we covered several ideas, ways of playing 2-note chords. You could take a power chord and sharp the 5th, or raise it up to the 6th, or you could go from the 5th, flat it, and then add that flat 5 to the power chord. We also talked about notes on the 2nd and 3rd string, like photograph, kind of like what we're doing here. Okay, 2 notes at the same time, and just keep an eye on the chord I have written above it. If you strum those chords on your guitar, that'd be a nice counterpart to what we're playing here. You could also have the bass play those chords, like the root note of them, while you do what we've got written. So for next week, people, we're going to work on rhythm riffs. We're going to introduce, let me just make sure. Oh, you know what? I lied to you. Not yet. Today we did the dyads. Next week, we're going to do the triads, 3-note chords. Okay? That's going to be a fun one. So there's going to be some good stuff there. Let me close out real quick, guys, with Toccata and Fugue. I'll do the short version for you. Okay, let's add a little delay. So everyone, I'll see you next Thursday or next Wednesday night, same time on YouTube. We're going to work on triads and the rock metal rhythm styles. Happy Halloween to everybody. And this is the Toccata and Fugue. All right. Good night, everybody. Peace. Have a great week. Practice. Keep them fingers on your fretboard and strumming that guitar. All right. See you next Thursday. Good night, everyone. Take care. Appreciate it, Richard, Terry, Andre, or Ander. Yep. Lee. All right. Cool. Steve, thank you. Everybody else. Yep. Rad Flying V. Cool. Danny, glad you could make it. Good. All right. Cool. Zane, everyone, take care. Peter, see ya. And then Brandon, yep. All right, cool. Good night, everyone. Bye.